Exploring the intriguing world of Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes, born in Malmesbury in 1588, embarked on a journey that would revolutionize philosophy. His early years, shadowed by the fear of the Spanish Armada, were instrumental in shaping his thoughts on human nature and society. This period laid the foundational stones of his future works. Transitioning from a private tutor to one of history's most influential philosophers, Hobbes' evolution was remarkable. His interactions with European scholars and exposure to Renaissance ideas significantly broadened his intellectual horizons. This phase of life marked the beginning of his deep dive into the nature of human governance and social contracts. The devastating impact of the plague during Hobbes' time profoundly influenced his worldview. Witnessing the societal collapse and chaos that epidemics wrought, Hobbes began contemplating the necessity of a strong, centralized authority to maintain social order and protect the populace from the baser aspects of human nature. Hobbes' intellectual prowess was further honed through his admiration and study of giants like Galileo and Euclid. The mechanistic universe they proposed resonated with Hobbes, shaping his materialistic view of the world. This perspective became a cornerstone of his philosophical inquiries, particularly in understanding human behavior and political systems. The publication of Leviathan in 1651 was a seminal moment in philosophical literature. Hobbes unleashed a groundbreaking treatise that challenged existing notions of governance and social structure. His argument for a sovereign power, capable of reigning in humanity's innate selfishness, sparked widespread debate and laid new paths for political theory. Thomas Hobbes viewed human nature with a critical eye, believing that in a state of nature, life would be solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. This bleak outlook on humanity formed the bedrock of his political theory, positing that strict governance was essential to curb mankind's baser instincts. Hobbes introduced the concept of a social contract as a solution to the chaos he believed inherent in human society. He argued that individuals must surrender some of their freedoms to a sovereign authority in exchange for security and order, a groundbreaking notion that continues to influence political thought. In Hobbes' vision of absolute authority, the sovereign, be it a monarch or an assembly, wielded unrivaled power. This authority was not to be questioned or revolted against, as its existence was the very foundation of civil peace and societal structure, according to Hobbes. Navigating the intricate terrain between natural rights and natural laws, Hobbes laid down a legal philosophy that emphasized the sovereign's role in defining and enforcing laws. He saw natural rights as subordinate to the laws crafted by the ruling power, challenging traditional views on individual liberties. Hobbes' religious views tread a delicate line between atheism and orthodoxy. While he recognized the importance of religion in maintaining societal order, he was critical of the Church's interference in state matters. This nuanced stance often put him at odds with both secular and religious authorities of his time. The publication of Leviathan in 1651 ignited a firestorm of controversy, drawing sharp criticism for Hobbes' unflinching analysis of human nature and his advocacy for absolute monarchy. Critics condemned the work as atheistic and subversive, fearing it undermined the religious and moral foundations of society. Hobbes' portrayal of humans in a state of perpetual conflict clashed with more optimistic views of human nature, leading to widespread denunciation. During his self-imposed exile in France, Hobbes' interactions with royalists and his unwavering support for the monarchy further alienated him from the parliamentarians back in England. This period significantly influenced his political theories, reinforcing his belief in the necessity of a strong, central authority to prevent societal collapse. His experiences abroad deepened his conviction that only an absolute sovereign could ensure peace and stability. Hobbes' relationship with the English monarchy was complex and multifaceted. Despite his philosophical justification for absolute power, his ideas were met with suspicion by both royalists and parliamentarians. His support for a unified state under a powerful ruler was rooted in his experiences of the English Civil War, yet this stance made him a controversial figure during a time of intense political upheaval. The end of Hobbes' life was marked by both acclaim and controversy. Despite the backlash against his ideas, his work laid the groundwork for modern political philosophy and the concept of social contract theory. His death in 1679 did not silence the debates his work had sparked, and his legacy continued to evolve long after he was gone. The philosophical rivalry between Hobbes and John Locke represented a fundamental clash over the nature of human freedom and governance. While Hobbes saw absolute authority as necessary to prevent societal chaos, Locke advocated for limited government and individual rights. This debate between authoritarianism and liberalism has profoundly shaped political thought, highlighting the enduring relevance of their contrasting visions for society. Thomas Hobbes viewed the universe through a mechanistic lens, believing everything in the world, including human behavior, to operate according to physical laws. This materialistic perspective underscored his entire philosophy, suggesting that even thoughts and emotions could be explained by the motion of physical particles, radically diverging from metaphysical explanations of his time. Hobbes' concept of fear as a political tool is pivotal in understanding his views on governance. He posited that the natural state of human life was solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short, necessitating a powerful sovereign to instill fear and maintain order. This fear, according to Hobbes, was essential for the preservation of peace and the prevention of chaos. The social contract theory, significantly influenced by Hobbes, revolves around the idea that people willingly surrender some of their freedoms to a ruler in exchange for security and order in society. Hobbes' grim view of human nature laid the groundwork for this theory, emphasizing the need for absolute authority to avoid the perils of anarchy. During the 17th century, Hobbes' works faced censorship and suppression, particularly Leviathan, which challenged the existing socio-political order and questioned the Church's authority. This backlash illustrates the controversial nature of his ideas during a time when questioning established norms was often met with severe consequences. Hobbes' insights into the English Civil War reveal his acute understanding of political turmoil and its impact on society. His experiences during this period influenced his belief in a strong, centralized authority to avoid civil strife. This perspective highlights his role as a political thinker who was deeply engaged with the turbulent times he lived in. Thomas Hobbes' transition from writing in Latin to English marked a significant shift in his career, making his philosophical ideas more accessible to a broader audience. This linguistic change allowed his revolutionary thoughts on social contract theory and governance to reach beyond the academic elite, resonating with the common man and spreading his influence further. In the realm of mathematics, Hobbes' contributions are often overshadowed by his political philosophy. Yet, his work in geometry demonstrated his deep engagement with the scientific methods of his time. His endeavors to apply mathematical principles to philosophy underscored his belief in the rational underpinnings of the universe. De Cive, an earlier treatise by Hobbes, laid the groundwork for his later masterpiece, Leviathan. In it, Hobbes began to develop his ideas about the natural state of mankind and the necessity of a social contract to maintain order. This work offers valuable insights into the evolution of his thought. Hobbes' views on education and its role in society were progressive for his time. He saw education not just as a means of personal advancement but as a crucial factor in maintaining social order and cohesion. By educating citizens on their rights and responsibilities, Hobbes believed society could achieve greater stability. The metaphor of a body politic in Hobbes' work illustrates the state as a living organism, with each part playing a vital role in its survival and functioning. This concept underscored his vision of a society where the sovereign acts as the head, guiding and maintaining the body's health and security. Beyond Leviathan, Thomas Hobbes contributed significantly to political thought with works like De Cive and Behemoth, which delve into the nature of civil society and the causes of civil war, respectively. These texts complement his magnum opus, offering a broader understanding of his views on governance and human nature. Hobbes' impact on the Enlightenment was profound, with his ideas on social contract theory laying foundational stones for modern political philosophy. His emphasis on the necessity of a strong central authority to prevent societal collapse influenced subsequent thinkers and reshaped the landscape of Enlightenment thought, highlighting the interplay between individual liberty and collective security. In contemplating human equality and inequality, Hobbes presented a nuanced view that while humans are roughly equal in body and mind, their subjective perceptions of each other stir competition, distrust, and glory-seeking. This perspective underpins his advocacy for an absolute sovereign to mitigate these natural conflicts, emphasizing peace over personal liberty. Hobbes' discussion on liberty navigates the delicate balance between freedom and security within society. He posited that true liberty does not lie in absolute freedom but in the peace and safety guaranteed by a sovereign power, challenging notions of unrestricted personal freedom in favor of societal order and protection. The historical context of Hobbes' thought was significantly shaped by the scientific revolution, which informed his materialistic view of the universe and his mechanical interpretation of human behavior. This backdrop of emerging scientific inquiry and skepticism towards traditional authorities colored his philosophical works, grounding them in empirical observation and logical deduction. Thomas Hobbes, a towering figure in philosophy, was not an island unto himself. His life was interwoven with the intellectual giants of his era, fostering both friendships and feuds. These relationships influenced his thoughts and works profoundly, creating a dynamic exchange of ideas that enriched the philosophical landscape of the 17th century. The legacy of Hobbes in political realism is undeniable. He laid the groundwork for viewing the state through a lens of pragmatism and power, rather than idealism. His emphasis on the Leviathan's authority as a bulwark against societal collapse has informed political strategies and governance models for centuries, underscoring his lasting impact. Analyzing the structure of the Leviathan reveals Hobbes' methodical approach to building his argument. He starts with the nature of man, moves to the creation of societies, and finally discusses the formation of a commonwealth. This progression meticulously constructs his vision of an ordered society, safeguarded by a sovereign power. Hobbes' insights into artificial intelligence and automation, though not explicitly addressed, can be inferred from his materialistic view of the universe. He saw the world and its inhabitants as machines, governed by laws of nature. This mechanistic perspective suggests that Hobbes might have anticipated the complexities and potential of artificial constructs. Delving into Hobbes' personal life offers a glimpse of the man behind the monumental philosophy. His experiences, from enduring the English Civil War to his academic endeavors, shaped his perspectives on human nature and governance. Understanding Hobbes the man provides a richer context for interpreting his philosophical contributions. Revisiting Hobbes' philosophy in the digital age reveals its unforeseen relevance. His views on human nature, social contract, and governance find new interpretations amid today's technological advancements and global interconnectivity. Hobbes' insights into human behavior and power dynamics offer valuable perspectives on digital surveillance, online communities, and the role of state in regulating the digital sphere. Hobbes' reception across the centuries has been a journey from revilement to reverence. Initially criticized for his perceived pessimism about human nature and his advocacy for absolute sovereignty, modern scholars have come to appreciate the depth and pragmatism of his work. His contributions to social contract theory and political philosophy are now regarded as foundational, influencing both academic thought and practical policymaking. The pen and the sword encapsulates Hobbes' dual legacy in literature and politics. His masterwork, Leviathan, is not only a seminal political treatise but also a piece of literary craftsmanship. Hobbes' eloquent prose and use of metaphors enrich his philosophical arguments, bridging the gap between the realms of political theory and literature and underscoring the power of the written word in shaping political thought. Hobbes and modern-day authoritarianism share intriguing parallels. His theory of absolute sovereignty echoes in contemporary discussions about the balance between security and liberty. Analyzing Hobbes in the context of today's political climate offers insights into the justification of centralized power and the enduring quest for social order amidst chaos. Unlocking Hobbes' Leviathan for first-time readers can be daunting yet rewarding. This guide would illuminate Hobbes' complex ideas about the social contract, sovereignty, and human nature in a relatable manner. Understanding Leviathan is crucial for anyone interested in the origins of Western political thought and the intellectual underpinnings of modern governance. Unveiling the world of Thomas Hobbes, intriguing insights. Thomas Hobbes was born into the cobbled streets of Westport, England, on a spring day in 1588. His entry into the world marked the beginning of a life that would profoundly shape the landscape of political philosophy. In the turbulent era he was born into, Hobbes would find the inspiration for his groundbreaking ideas. Best known for his seminal work Leviathan, Hobbes carved his name into the annals of history with his insightful exploration of the human condition and the nature of governance. published in 1651, Leviathan would come to be seen as a cornerstone of political philosophy, offering a raw depiction of human nature and the necessity of a powerful, centralized authority. Hobbes's intellectual journey began at Oxford University, where he was immersed in the classics and the burgeoning scientific ideas of the time. Graduating in 1608, his education laid the groundwork for his future explorations into the nature of society and governance, equipping him with the tools to challenge the established norms of his time. His role as a tutor for the Cavendish family proved to be a pivotal chapter in Hobbes's life, opening doors to the broader intellectual world of Europe. This position not only provided him with financial stability but also afforded him the opportunity to travel extensively across the continent, enriching his understanding and perspectives. During his travels, Hobbes encountered numerous luminaries, including the revolutionary scientist Galileo. These interactions were instrumental in shaping his thoughts, merging the realms of science and philosophy in his mind. The influence of these meetings is evident in his later works, where he applied scientific reasoning to the complexities of human behavior and societal structures. Thomas Hobbes's first-hand experiences of the English Civil War left an indelible mark on his thinking. Witnessing the chaos and the breakdown of civil society convinced him that human nature was inherently self-serving and dangerous when left unchecked. This tumultuous period underscored his belief in the necessity of a strong, central authority to maintain order. The concept of the social contract emerged from Hobbes's observations during this time. He posited that to escape a life of continuous conflict, individuals must agree to surrender certain freedoms in exchange for collective security. This idea was revolutionary, suggesting that the legitimacy of governance stems from the consent of the governed. In his seminal work, Leviathan, Hobbes elaborated on these ideas, advocating for a sovereign power strong enough to ensure peace and prevent the state of nature he so vividly described as solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. The Leviathan, a metaphorical sea monster, symbolized this overwhelming authority needed to keep human instincts in check. Hobbes's views on the necessity of centralized power were controversial, especially his assertion that only a powerful commonwealth could prevent the anarchy inherent in the state of nature. His arguments laid the groundwork for modern political philosophy, challenging the existing paradigms of governance and societal organization. Moreover, Leviathan wasn't just a political treatise, it was a reflection on human psychology and the mechanics of society. Hobbes's insights into the human condition and the nature of conflict remain influential, offering a stark but compelling vision of the need for authority and the delicate balance between freedom and security. Thomas Hobbes, a figure of monumental intellect, ventured beyond the realm of political philosophy, contributing significantly to diverse fields such as history, geometry, and the physics of gases. His insatiable curiosity and analytical prowess enabled him to explore the intricacies of the natural world, laying foundational stones in multiple academic disciplines. Hobbes's literary genius also shone brightly in his translations of Homer's epics, the Iliad, and the Odyssey, into English. These translations were among the first, making these cornerstone texts of ancient Greek literature accessible to an English-speaking audience. Through this work, Hobbes not only showcased his mastery of language, but also his profound appreciation for the classics. Despite his groundbreaking contributions, Hobbes's life was shadowed by the specter of persecution. His ideas, particularly those regarding religion and the state's absolute authority, were radical for his time. This led to a constant fear of retribution, a fear that Hobbes carried with him throughout most of his life. The political turmoil and intellectual ferment of his era drove Hobbes into exile in France, where he penned his magnum opus, Leviathan. This period of involuntary expatriation lasted 11 years, during which Hobbes immersed himself in the vibrant intellectual circles of Europe, further refining his thoughts and theories. Central to Hobbes's philosophy was materialism, the belief that everything in the universe, including thoughts and consciousness, is physical. This view was revolutionary, positioning Hobbes as a pioneer in what would become modern scientific and philosophical thought, challenging established norms and inviting debate among his contemporaries and future generations alike. Thomas Hobbes's ideas, particularly those on religion and the divine right of kings, were seen as radical during his time. His skepticism towards the inherent divinity of monarchy and the clerical power structure positioned him against prevailing beliefs. This critical stance led to significant controversy and accusations of atheism, challenging the very foundations of 17th-century European society. In Leviathan, Hobbes laid the groundwork for modern political philosophy. He meticulously argued for a social structure based on rational agreement rather than divinely ordained hierarchy. His insights into the nature of human governance and the mechanisms of societal order remain pivotal in the study of political science and philosophy. Despite the controversies, Hobbes's contributions extended beyond the realm of political theory. His writings on mathematics and science showcased his wide-ranging intellect and curiosity. Hobbes's interdisciplinary approach underscored his belief in a unified understanding of the physical and social worlds, emphasizing the importance of empirical knowledge. Hobbes's peers often accused him of atheism, a serious charge in an era when religion was intertwined with identity, governance, and daily life. His materialist view of the universe, asserting that even thoughts had a physical basis, further alienated him from the religious and philosophical mainstream of his time. Yet, Hobbes's belief in absolute sovereignty as the only solution to humanity's innate selfishness was a cornerstone of his philosophy. Arguing that only a powerful, centralized authority could ensure peace and prevent the chaos of a natural state of war, Hobbes introduced a new paradigm in the understanding of governance and social contract theory. Thomas Hobbes's work stirred a tempest of controversy, primarily due to accusations of atheism from his contemporaries. His materialist view of the universe, where even thoughts were considered physical, clashed with the deeply religious frameworks of his time. This radical perspective often put Hobbes at odds with societal and religious norms. Hobbes's advocacy for absolute sovereignty as the sole form of government capable of curbing human selfishness was groundbreaking. He posited that only a powerful, centralized authority could prevent the chaos born from our natural state of war against each other. This idea was revolutionary, challenging the accepted norms of governance and the divine right of kings. As a pioneering thinker, Hobbes was among the first in the Western tradition to articulate the concept of a society governed by a social contract. This notion was a cornerstone of his political philosophy, suggesting that individuals collectively agree to surrender certain freedoms in exchange for security and order provided by the state. Hobbes's philosophical method was deeply influenced by the scientific advances of his time, particularly the work of Galileo. He applied the principle of motion to politics, viewing the dynamics of human societies through a lens that sought to marry political philosophy with the burgeoning field of natural science. The contrast between Hobbes's views on human nature and government and those of his contemporary, John Locke, is striking. While Hobbes saw human life in the state of nature as nasty, brutish, and short, necessitating absolute authority, Locke believed in the inherent goodness of people and the importance of consent in governance. This divergence laid the groundwork for future debates in political philosophy. Thomas Hobbes's vision of civil peace and social unity was revolutionary, advocating for the establishment of a commonwealth through a social contract. He believed that without such a structure, mankind would descend into chaos and conflict. This idea underscored the importance of collective agreement in creating a stable society. Hobbes's notion of the state of nature serves as a cornerstone in political philosophy, painting a grim picture of human life without government. It's a concept that highlights the raw human instincts of self-preservation, which Hobbes thought could only be tamed by the formation of a commonwealth through mutual agreements. His work significantly contributed to the establishment of political science as an academic discipline. Hobbes argued that for peace to prevail, individuals must consent to give up some freedoms in favor of security provided by a sovereign power. This laid the groundwork for understanding the dynamics of political structures and governance. Hobbes maintained that the social contract was essentially an agreement among individuals to create a state capable of imposing peace. This was a radical idea, suggesting that the legitimacy of government stems from the consent of the governed, rather than divine right or hereditary succession. Deeply interested in the mechanics of human behavior, Hobbes believed that all actions are motivated by self-interest. This pessimistic view of human nature was crucial to his argument for a strong, centralized authority. Without it, he feared society would revert to a war of all against all, underscoring his case for absolute sovereignty. Thomas Hobbes harbored a keen interest in the mechanics of human behavior, firmly believing that all actions are motivated by self-interest. This perspective underscored his philosophical inquiries, leading him to view humans as inherently self-serving creatures. Such a viewpoint significantly colored his theories on politics and society, positing that the natural state of human affairs is one of competition and conflict. Hobbes's starkly pessimistic views on human nature focused intently on the self-serving tendencies that he believed were intrinsic to all human beings. He argued that these natural inclinations towards self-preservation and personal gain inevitably lead to a state of perpetual conflict, absent a powerful, controlling authority. This bleak assessment of the human condition formed the bedrock of his political philosophy. In Leviathan, Hobbes famously contends that without the establishment of a social contract, life would devolve into a war of all against all. This metaphorical state of constant battle, devoid of peace or cooperation, underscored his belief in the necessity of a strong, centralized government to maintain order and prevent societal collapse. Hobbes emphasized the importance of hierarchical structures within society to curb the chaotic nature of human interactions. He posited that without such structures, individuals would be left to their own devices, leading to an unending cycle of conflict and strife. This perspective advocated for a form of governance that could command absolute authority over its constituents to ensure peace and stability. Believing that knowledge could be acquired through a scientific approach to the physical world, Hobbes applied this methodology to his political theories. He sought to understand society and governance through the lens of natural science, aiming to discover immutable laws that govern human behavior and social organization. This innovative approach contributed significantly to the development of political philosophy as a discipline. Thomas Hobbes's innovative thinking extended into the realm of psychology, where he introduced the early concept of a feedback loop in human behavior. This idea, groundbreaking at the time, proposed that individuals' actions and the environment continuously influence each other, laying the groundwork for future studies in behavioral sciences. As a pioneer in political psychology, Hobbes delved into the psychological foundations of political behavior. His analyses sought to understand how the intrinsic nature of human beings impacts their political actions and decisions. This exploration provided a new dimension to political theory, emphasizing the importance of psychology in governance. Hobbes's staunch advocacy for absolute authority profoundly influenced the structure of modern political institutions. He argued that to escape the brutish nature of human life in the absence of order, society must rally under a singular, undivided governance. This concept shaped the development of contemporary political systems, highlighting the need for overarching authority to ensure social harmony. Despite facing significant controversy for his revolutionary ideas, particularly regarding religion and governance, Hobbes has been cemented as a foundational figure in modern political philosophy. His bold assertions challenged existing norms and laid the groundwork for a new era of political thought, emphasizing rationality and the social contract. Hobbes's enduring legacy continues to influence a wide array of fields, from Enlightenment thinking to liberal thought. His work has transcended the confines of philosophy, impacting economics, sociology, and the development of political science as an academic discipline. Through his contributions, Hobbes has indelibly shaped the contours of modern intellectual discourse.